Okay, so I've got this idea for a comedy sketch. I call it MimeCop, and I got the idea from David Carradine movie called Q, the letter Q. It's about uh, it's the movie was about a dragon that's in a big city and it's eating people off the top of high-rise apartments. And anyway, there's this one cop that's working undercover as a mime, and that's where I got the idea. Anyway, it's called Mime Cop, and Mime doesn't have a radio, so he has to make a phone call to his precinct, and he has to use a payphone, and all the payphones are occupied, so he has to use an imaginary pretend phone. And when he makes the imaginary phone call, his captain is sitting at his desk reading a paper or something, and his captain starts to think that he's hearing something, but he's not sure what it is or where it's coming from. And the captain starts looking around. He can't figure out where this noise is coming from. He can't even figure out if he's hearing it at all. He keeps looking back and forth from his paper and then back around again, looking around his desk. He even tries picking up his phone, just the dial tone, nothing there. And then he finally realizes that the noise he's hearing is coming from an imaginary telephone on his desk, and he picks it up and he realizes it's this undercover mime cop who has just spotted a suspect, and now they've got to play charades over the phone. And so the mime calls for backup, and I want to bring in some other people. I want to have some another cop that I have in mind who's just always getting in trouble. Just this one cop runs down an alley, has to. You hear machine gun fire in the background, and to get out of the way of trouble, he jumps over a wall, and then you hear the sound of a dog barking, and the cop jumps back over the wall, and the sound of the machine gun fire resumes, and the cop has to jump back over the wall. The machine gun fire stops, and the dog starts barking again, and the cop can't decide which side of the wall he wants to be on. And ultimately, the mime, with his imaginary gun, runs up and catches the chief bad guy, and then he's playing tough with the guy, but he's got to play charades while he's telling the guy to surrender. And then I want to have a scene where the in the police station, where the mime cop has to he's a detective. He has to go and sit down at his desk, and it's an imaginary desk, and the thug he just busted just got released, and so the mime cop is really pissed off. He has to open up a drawer, and he pulls out an imaginary bottle of whiskey and takes the top off and starts drinking. And the captain comes out and he stops him from drinking, and he says, "No, we've worked too hard on this. You're too good of a cop, and we know what we're looking for now. We know who this guy is. We know what his MO is and everything." And then it turns out this his captain is an old school. He's been around a long time. He starts blurping out a few racist and homophobic remarks because he's been on the force that long. You know, he's seen a black cop and a woman cop and a black woman cop and a homosexual cop and a drag queen cop, and they're all there in the room. And then there's this one cop who wants to be tough and everything, and he wants to be an old school ball breaker like the captain used to be. So he makes some smart aleck remark, and you hear the sound of crickets in the room. And suddenly, everybody else in the room starts shooting daggers in the younger tough cop's direction. But then it turns out they're not actually looking at him. They're looking at this nerdy cop that's sitting at the desk behind him. And the nerdy cop has a glass cage full of crickets, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't find a box full of. I couldn't find a babysitter for today," and or something like that. And uh, I also want to have the captain reminisce about how he's had some different eccentric cops over the years, and uh, maybe even tell the tale of how he had a Trekkie cop and how the Trekkie cop showed promise until one day he showed up in a red shirt. And anyway, that's my idea for MimeCop. Peace out.